Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about my favorite reads from 2024. So, first of all, let me just grab my little bag of books here. This isn't all of them. I have all of my favorites down here, so add like 25 books to this and you have all the books that I read from 2024. I read 108 books. It was a good reading year. I had a really hard time choosing like one or two books for each category that I have, because otherwise I would just say that all of the books from 2024 were my favorite. Because I had a lot of 4 stars, like a lot of 4 stars, more so than I did last year. I felt like 2023, I was pretty picky on what I was going to give 4 and 5 stars to, but this year I was a little bit more lenient on the 4 stars. Obviously, I only have a couple of 5 stars here. So yeah, let's just get right into it. I have a couple of categories. Let me actually get my phone out here, because that's who I be. So we've got a couple of genres and subgenres that I thought I read a ton of books from. So we've got romantic suspense, like action adventure, rom-com, sports romance, contemporary romance, Christian romance, Regency, fantasy, women's fiction, and then Christmas. So I put like 2 books in each category, and then I also have an honorable mention for each category as well. So let's start with this first category here. We've got romantic suspense, action adventure. So I actually have a physical copy here of one of the books that I really, really loved this year, and I have the small form of it right here. Come on, this is like the cutest thing ever. If you're not into these small books, you are a psychopath. So yeah, this one, and then the first book in the series, Date with Danger, by also Jenessa Fayeth. These are both by Jenessa Fayeth. Take With Trouble is the second book in this standalone series. I think the series is called Caught in Chaos, is what the series is called. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and I gave this one 5 stars. So I enjoyed this one much more. The romance was better. The characters were way more fun and enjoyable to read about, and there was so much banter. Lots of fun. This one was it was still high stakes, because obviously she's a FBI agent. He's a art thief on the run, and she's trying to catch him, and he catches her, and they spend this entire book in Europe together. And yeah, I really, really liked this one. This one was probably my favorite in this grouping. And then I have an honorable mention with me here. Let me just find it. West of Port by Carina Taylor. This one I gave 4.5 stars to as well. And honestly, looking at it now, I think I like this one a little bit better than Date with Danger, but still an honorable mention. This one was a lot of fun. This is an adventure romance is what it's titled. Really good. I read every single one of Carina Taylor's books this year, like every single one of them. And she has one more book in my favorites here, so I really love her. She was like the first closed-door contemporary romance author that I found at the beginning of this year, and I love her, so that's really awesome. That was the romantic suspense action adventure category. Really good. And then we've got rom-coms, and I have another copy here. Yeah, I do. Beauty and the Beach by Gracie Ruth Mitchell. Where's my small copy? And even the backs are the same. And the spines. I can't. I love small things. It's like one of my, I wouldn't say quirks, because that's just weird, but one of my things that I love is small things. Anyway, Beauty and the Beach, probably my favorite romance of the entire year. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's one more maybe ahead of this one, but this one was really good. It's a summer read. Enemies to Lovers, Marriage of Convenience. It was really good. It was so good. Like, I was kicking and giggling my feet while reading this one, and if you know me, I don't do that. I really don't do that. Ever. And this is probably the only book from this year that I did that for, so that doesn't say how good this one was. Really, really enjoyed. This is so fun. It was, what are the words? It was just really enjoyable, and I highly recommend this one. Definitely my favorite romance, and obviously I bought a copy of it. So that just tells you how much I did love it. 5 stars. So fun. I will read it again next summer. Probably a book that I would pick up every single summer, if that doesn't tell you anything. Okay, and then I have one more in this section, rom-com section. It's Tuesdays Like That by Carina Taylor. Again, this was my first like contemporary romance book I like ever picked up, closed door wise, because I was just reading YA fantasy because that's what I thought was like the only books without spice in it. And then I discovered closed door romance and I was like, oh my heck, there are so many closed door authors out there. And I have been discovering them for the past year and a half. And it's been so exciting to find all these authors. And Carina was one of my very first ones that I had picked up. So I had like low expectations, I guess. So maybe I'd rate this differently now. But I did give it 5 stars at the time because it was so cute. It was like a accidental marriage romance. And I loved it. It was so cute. And these characters were fun. Tuesday was like the most sunshiny character I've ever read about. She was so cute. Just really, really fun. There's like meddling grannies and yeah, it was really fun. I kind of don't remember the whole plot because it's been a year since I read it. I read it at the beginning of last year. So I recommend Carina Taylor as a whole. I mean, I like all of her books, but I've rated a couple 3.5 stars, 3 stars. No, I don't have any 3 stars. Just 3.5 stars and above. But I would recommend them all. They're all just like lighthearted and fun, and I think she has really good writing. They're really enjoyable books to read. Next section is sports romance. So I wanted to have this one have its own category because I read oh my gosh, did I just delete that? No, I didn't. I read so many sports romances. I read baseball, golf, hockey, football. Is that all of them? I feel like I read more sports than that. I read a lot in each genre. I read like a ton of hockey romance this year. I wouldn't say that I'm in my hockey romance era because no. But yeah, okay, we've got a couple honorable mentions along with 2 of my top sports romances. So firstly, we've got Runaway, Bride, and Prejudice by Emma St. Clair. I gave this one 4.25 stars, I think. Or 4.5, I don't remember. But this is a hockey romance, and I loved it. There's like a surprise trope halfway through the book, and I'm not going to spoil it because it's a surprise trope. And I loved it. I loved this one. I really like Emma St. Clair. I loved this whole series. I've read all of them. There's one more coming out. And I think it's finished after that. It's the Appy series, by the way. This is the last book that I read in that series. And I loved it. The characters are super adorable. I think the surprise trope was like what settled above a 4-star for me for this one. It was so cute. I really did enjoy this whole series. Great hockey romance. Love, love, love. And then we've got Games of a Billionaire by Christina Moulter. And I read this one in December, so it's in my December wrap-up, so I'm not going to really get into it, but it is a football romance. A Marriage of Convenience. I loved it. It was such a big surprise. I gave it 4.5 stars. I already really talked about this in my December wrap-up, but like this author, I discovered her when somebody had sent me that her ARC applications were opening for this book. And I was like, I'll give it a try. And I put it off for a little bit. I got it done before the release date, but I loved it. It was so good. I really did. I feel so bad that these closed door authors don't get the attention that they deserve, really. The spice is pushed in stores, on TikTok, social media. But that's what us booktubers who push these kinds of books are hoping to get more in the public eye to help these independent authors succeed. You know, if I just get one person to read this book, I think that's a win. So yeah, Games of a Billionaire. Football romance, billionaire romance, Marriage of Convenience. Really good. Just solid. I really enjoyed it. It was just enjoyable from start to finish. So I highly recommend this. And honestly, obviously, I highly recommend all of these, but I really particularly loved that one. I didn't give it 5 stars, but 4.5, that's pretty good too. And then I have 2 honorable mentions in this section. We've got Home Run Heart by Hailey Gardiner. I gave this one 4.5 stars, I think. This is a baseball romance. My first baseball romance ever, actually. And I just like her. I just love her. Her romances are so sweet, and she incorporates, I've talked about this multiple times, but she incorporates the backstory of these characters usually have some baggage and some grief. And she weaves that in with this fun romance, and it's exciting. So I really liked this. The plot was fun. It's a second chance romance. I recommend this one. I don't really know what else to say about it, but I liked it. I liked it, and I love all of her books. Her books are all super clean. There's no language, just kisses. And basically that's how all of these will be. You know how it is. And then another honorable mention is Betrothal Breakaway by Leah Brunner. I think I only gave this one 4 stars, but I wanted to mention it because I thought it was so well done. So Ford, he's the male main character in this, and he has a type of autism called Asperger's. And I think Leah Brunner went about it in a very delicate way and represented it very, very well. And I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. And I loved their romance because the female main character was just so understanding and kind and loved him. And I just thought it was so special. So that's why I wanted to mention it. It was a very sweet romance. It is a marriage of convenience again. I have a lot of those in this, obviously. It does have a little bit of language. Leah Brunner has language in her books, but no F words or anything. And it is fade to black, but not in an explicit way. And they are married, so whatever you're comfortable with. But anyway, I really enjoyed this one. Definitely recommend this series. Oh my goodness gracious. I should turn off my phone. Recommend this series. Really cute. I enjoyed this a lot. Okay, now we're on to the contemporary romance. That's like all I read this year. It's so funny because in 2023, I like exclusively read fantasy because obviously I thought fantasy was the only books that I could find that didn't have spice in them, even though nowadays a ton of them do have spice. But anyway, contemporary romance. I have a physical copy of the one contemporary romance book. And these are actually the redone covers. So Came the Closest by Cleopatra Margot. And this one I gave 5 stars to just because it wasn't, I mentioned this when I had read it and it's in my review on Goodreads. But at the time that I read it, I originally gave it 4.5 stars. It was really solid. I liked it. And then I ruminated over it overnight. And I was like, you know what, 5 stars. But it's not because the writing was good. It wasn't because of all the basic things that some people give 5 stars to books. It was how I felt while I read it, the characters, the romance itself, and it was just real. It was very, very real. Both of these characters had been through some serious heartbreak, and I think that's why I liked it, because it felt extremely realistic to me, and I read so many bubbly and happy romances that just become the same and feel unrealistic. And this one, it felt very real. And these characters went through very real things that definitely happen in the real world. And I liked it a lot. And it made me feel something. I feel like I'm just getting way too deep into this, but I really liked it. I feel like this is just a very special book to me. I'm not getting emotional. Sorry, my voice cracked a little bit. That was weird. My husband got me this book for Christmas and it was so sweet. He went through my Goodreads and found all of my 5 stars and picked this one along with Taken with Trouble, and he bought these for me for Christmas. He didn't even ask. He just went to my Goodreads and found them, so I thought that was so sweet. He's such a good guy. Such a good man. I really recommend this one. I highly recommend this one. Very emotional. I did cry like 3 times. And again, I don't kick my feet and giggle. I don't cry while I read books, but this one brought out the tears in me, and I cried, and it was really good. Very emotional read, but I enjoyed it. Okay, and that was the only contemporary romance, but we have a honorable mention here, which is a surprise. When I was going through all my books, I was like, you know what? This one was good enough to honorably mention. Before We Were Us by Denise Hunter. I gave this one 4 stars, so you wouldn't think that it would be in my top favorites. But here we are. Well, it's not in my top. It is in my top, but honorably mentioned. Really good. Denise Hunter, her books are not happy. They're not typically cheesy, fluffy, corny, none of that. Hers are usually pretty heavy. This one wasn't terribly heavy like some of her other ones have been, but it was really good. This one made me cry a little bit too, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, there's one part in here that I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening right now? There's water coming out of my eyes. I don't even know how to explain it. It was so good. Let me just give you a little backstory on it. So the main female character, she has amnesia. She hits her head and she has retrograde amnesia, so she doesn't remember the entire summer of her and the male lead falling in love. And she's like, we hated each other, and that's what she remembers. And so he goes through turmoil. You feel so bad for him because he's just such a gentleman. He's so patient. Really, really cute. Happily ever after. I really enjoyed this one. So honorably mentioned. That's why. Now we've got the Christmas. That's at the end. Christian contemporary romance. And I have two here. I've got This Means War by Heather Meixton. I don't know. Heather Meixton. We're just gonna go with that one. So this one I gave 4.5 stars to, mostly because Marriage of Convenience. It was really sweet. This is the author's first adult Christian romance that she's pivoted. She used to do YA romance and now or new adult. And this was her first like adult, and now she's pivoted into fully Christian romance. I really liked it. The progression of their romance, especially since it was a Marriage of Convenience, felt so real. Like it was so well done. In my opinion, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. So there you go. That's it. That's all. Okay. Then we've got Rocky Road by Becky Wade. I gave this one 4.5 stars at the time. It's been so long since I've read some of these books. So like, forgive me, but I don't really remember much. I just remember really enjoying it at the time. This is the second book to the Sons of Scandal series, and I actually enjoyed the first book in this series better, but I read that in 2023. So yeah, Rocky Road, Becky Wade. It's a FBI agent, and they have to fake date. Really good. I enjoy this series a lot. I don't like Becky Wade's other books. I don't. I know that's so bad of me, but a lot of Christian booktubers love her books, and I just don't. I just don't. But this series felt a little bit different to me. It's not fully Christian, but it has Christian themes in my opinion. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. The series was good. Okay, now we're into Regency, and obviously Edenbrook is the only one that I'm putting in here. I read a ton of Regency at the beginning of the year, and I didn't like any of them, so they didn't even get to be in this list at all. So yeah, Edenbrook, that's it. And we know how I feel about this one. I mentioned it in my 5-star reads when I first started this channel. I've mentioned it multiple times since then, so I'm not even going to get into it. But if you know me, this is my favorite book of all time, forever and ever. Love it. That's all. It's just the best. It is so good. If you're not going to read any of these books, at least try and pick this one up, because I cannot sing its praises more than I already have. So that's all. Okay, now we've got fantasy, which I didn't read very much fantasy this year, and I'm kind of sad about it because fantasy is what got me back into reading almost 2 years ago now. Yeah, like 2 years ago, because I started really reading again in 2023. So yeah, 2 full years. And all of 2023 I read fantasy. All of 2023. And then at the beginning of 2024, I had a couple series that I read, and then I was like, you know what? No, I need to start getting into my closed door romance, and here we are. But I read a couple of fantasy, and most of them were actually really good. But obviously, the first ones we've got here are Powerless and Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This is the Powerless series, and book 3 comes out this year in like March or something. I hope. Either March or May. One of the M months. I don't remember which one, but these were so good. And a lot of people actually liked Powerless better than Reckless. I think I like Reckless better because they spend the entirety of the book together, and I just really like when the characters are together on page. They have conversations, interactions, all that. So yeah. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say about these two other than they were just solid. They're really good fantasy. And this is Lauren Roberts' debut novel as well. And I thought it was so well done. So there's that. And a lot of people think the series is overhyped, but I don't think it's overhyped. I think it's really well done. Okay, and then Bride of the Fae Prince by Anastasis Blythe. This one was a huge surprise. I didn't know this author when I had signed up for this arc, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Like, what the heck? I'm not, like, I haven't gotten to the plot into any of these, I'm pretty sure, but Really good. Like, I don't like fairies, fae, like I'm really not into that at all. So this one was, again, a huge surprise in that aspect, but it didn't feel like fae, fairy magic like some of these overhyped series, but really good. I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. It's a forced marriage, not a forced marriage, but they have to get married. So yeah, basically a forced marriage. Really good. I really loved it. And I haven't gotten to any of her other books, but that's like on my TBR for the next year. So hopefully I can read more from her. Highly recommend her writing. She's really good. And then we got an honorable mention. Got Spectacular by Stephanie Garber. I was going to say Caraval, but that's the series this is a part of. So this is book 3.5. It's a novella after the entire series of Caraval. And I gave it 4 stars, but I still wanted to mention it because I really enjoyed it. Like, a lot of people hated it. I don't know why, but I guess I might be a little biased because Caraval is like my favorite fantasy series of all time. And I know that people like her Once Upon a Broken Heart series more than Caraval, and I didn't. So I'm different. That was stupid. I don't really want to mention other things because it is book 3.5 in the series, so you can't give away anything, but it was a cute Christmas time novella, and it was unexpected, and it was just fun. I really enjoyed it. Okay, we're coming to a close here, people. Let's go. I forgot to mention one of my rom-coms. How could I forget this one? Ship Fate by Dulcie Dameron. Is it Dameron? Dameron. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I think 4.25 or 4.5. Love. I loved this one. I saw my little books down here and I was like, oh my heck, I totally forgot to mention this one. This one was really cute. Different than a lot of books that I've ever read. This was my first book by her and she's become one of my favorites. So yeah, I recommend it. And it's part of a series and they're like really short, so cute. Okay. Now, we've got women's fiction, and I only read one women's fiction because that is not my genre. I don't pick up women's fiction. But this one, I just couldn't resist with that cover. We'll take a moment. Yes, the cover is so cute. So I was like, okay, a women's fiction, like, there's gotta be better things than this. There's gotta be something, romance, something. And there was. And I loved it. It was 5 stars. Honestly, this is probably my favorite book of the year. Besides Edenbrook, because that's my favorite book of all time. But favorite book of the year, probably for sure. It was just so exciting and fresh because like women's fiction, I said, I don't like women's fiction. I don't pick it up. But this one was different and it had that romance in it. And their romance was so good. I loved their romance. Probably my favorite romance because it was just so special and sweet and it was so good. I cannot recommend this one enough. I love it. Courtney Walsh again is one of my favorite contemporary romance authors. She's really good and I have a couple of her books that I actually have purchased. So if that doesn't say anything for you, that's all. Summer of Yes. So good. So good. It's so good. My favorite book of the year. We've got one more section here. I feel like I've been talking for hours, but it's only been like 25 minutes. So we've got Christmas romance. So my favorites, Holiday Tides by Laura Lenga. I gave it 4.5, I think. 4.25? 4.25. I loved this one. And it's a novella. Both of the Christmas books I'm mentioning are novellas, so they're short. But I kind of need that in a Christmas romance because Christmas romances that are full-length books are way too much for me. They're way too much. Christmas romance books let me down all the time. Like, I'm surprised that I have favorite Christmas books this year because last year I read a ton of Christmas books and all of them disappointed me. Almost every single one disappointed me. And so I was like, okay, I'm never picking up a Christmas book again. But I did this year. I got on these ARC teams. And they were so cute. It's a novella. Again, it's super short. I have actually the copy of this, but I lent it to my mother, so she has it right now. She should be reading it. And I loved it. It was just so cute. It was just cute. And I really liked it. And it was like perfect for this time of year. And it was the perfect length because, like I said, when Christmas books get too long, it's too much for me. Then we have One Little Chance by Rebecca Jo Jackson. Pretty sure this one was 4.25 or 4.5. I don't remember. But Really loved it. Rebecca Jo Jackson, her books are just so cute and her covers are adorable. I love them. Really, really cute. It's, I feel like I've been saying that about all of these, but I love this one. It was just so sweet. If you notice the camera angle changed, it did. My last minute was cut off because I overloaded my memory card on my camera. So I gotta redo the last minute and a half, and that's fine. I've done this multiple times before. So what's new? I was mentioning One Little Chance by Rebecca Jo Jackson, and it ended fine. So we're just gonna keep that footage. But the last book I wanted to mention, and this is the honorable mention for the Christmas category, is The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Hailey Gardiner. It was, the reason why I want to mention it is because it was a surprise, like a completely unexpected surprise. And I mentioned it in my December wrap up because that's when I read it. And I don't know, it was just different and exciting and fresh. It had elements of mystery and kind of high stakes and a really sweet romance. So it was just everything that you want in a book, and it was good. I gave it 4 stars, but again, I wanted to mention it because it was such a surprise. And it's not a typical closed door book, that's for sure, because this author isn't marketed as one. But she kept it closed door, there's no F word. And that's kind of like what I look for in books, is if they have no F word, and if it's either completely closed door or faded black but no explicit details. That's what I look for in a book. And so I can recommend this one. But at the end of chapter 59, there is a faded black scene, but it's not explicitly detailed. But if you want to skip that, it's just at the end of chapter 59, and you can just start back up at chapter 60 and you won't miss a thing. I really enjoyed it. I do recommend it to closed door readers. Not necessarily those who stick to clean romance, because this wasn't. There's language. It's faded black, but there is no F word and it's not explicit. So I recommend it. And that is all. I just feel like here's this bag. And this isn't all of them. This doesn't include all of the books that I just showed you. But I feel like I had a really good year. I had a ton of 4-star reads. And I feel like I could have put more books in this list because I really did have a good reading year, and I'm really happy about it. Hopefully in the new year I can get out more videos like this one. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's really fun for me to reflect on the year that I've had and all the books that I've read, and like reflect on the ones that I read at the very beginning of last year. So yeah, I am still happy to be here, and I'm happy that you guys have joined me on this journey that I've been on for almost a year. And yeah, I hope to keep doing this, not just for others, but mostly for myself. This is really fun for me and I enjoy it a lot. So thank you for supporting me. And yeah, I will see you next time. Bye.